I have always loved the genre of turn-based strategy RPGs. A bit of a slower-paced game than is expected in this era, and one that has sadly been dying out and kept alive mostly by indie developers. Whenever one of these games comes out, I want it to be good so it can be a bit of a downer when it's lacking. Redemption Reapers lets you know what they were trying for pretty quickly. You are part of the Ashen Hawk Brigade, haunted by something unforgivable in your past while facing a massive horde of orcish beings called Mort. The ragtag mercenary company versus all odds isn't a bad starting point for a story, but at some point you have to move past it, and story progression is extremely plotting. It takes place after everyone's dead, after the invaders have destroyed civilization, and after the band's gone through the regret of some sort of major failure which is referenced constantly. Which all sounds like it could have been an interesting scenario to go through with plenty of character development. Instead, there's basically no growth in anything for most of the game. It amounts to, there are orcs, and now more orcs, and we hate them, and hate ourselves for what happened that one time. Even the choices basically amount to saying, I want to kill more orcs, which the guy that really loves killing orcs likes, or saying, I want to run away and survive, to which the guy that really loves killing orcs calls you a coward. And that's effectively the story development for almost the entire game. The presentation is not going to save it either. Cutscenes are short and abrupt, the dialogue's a bit dry and campy like it's written for personalities, not for characters, and the voice acting can be a bit wooden at times. It generally looks fine if it were for a game that came out 3 console generations ago. There's not much negative or positive about the UI or between mission screens. It's basic and functional and gives the information you need. Skills and the progression system are very simple, but a little flawed. There's generally 3 types of characters. A tank that deals heavy damage, a mid-armor heavy damage dealer, and a low-armor low damage dealer. Tank abilities basically do nothing to help tanking. Enemies will go for the weakest ally they can reach. There is no zone of control for slowing enemies that pass a tank, crowd control, taunt, or even attacks of opportunity. So unless you can create a barrier of bodies, enemies just walk around your tough guys and 2-shot the others. There's a swarm of foes, generally 3 to 5 times as many as your party in every fight. Combat is thankfully quick, so this part only drags a bit. What drags the game far more is that most battles consist of the same structure most of the time. A bunch of fodder which try to shave some health off like attrition, followed by a beastly boss which you may not even be able to harm. And if you fall to the boss, you're going through that full plotting, unchallenging level over again. Leveling gives skill points and increases stats. Skills include follow attacks, abilities, and straight up damage or defensive bonuses. The latter are particularly important since damage is based on a flat amount, as is armor. So if your weapon does 5 damage and the enemy has 5 armor, you do 0 damage. I would find myself going through a level where fodder would be 2-shot while doing no damage at all. Then the boss would hit me with a debuff, reducing my damage to 0, making him untouchable. This makes finding all treasures, which is where you get better weapons and upgrade materials, more or less not optional, as even a few extra points of damage can turn an encounter from impossible to easy. In turn, this makes the game's durability system baffling, as characters can carry multiple weapons and every strike costs durability. This sort of system would generally suggest you're meant to go through weapons, but the strictness of the damage reduction system means you're required to use the best gear. To top it off, upgrade materials, experience, and gold can be farmed in skirmishes, but at such a grueling pace that it takes multiple battles for a single upgrade, and the durability repair costs so much that I would find myself earning nothing at all after hours despite not having spent gold on anything but repairs. Combat itself is very simple. There's not much in regards to strategy beyond surrounding enemies so you can get follow-up attacks. The follow-up system requires inputs, but there's no timing to make it a skill thing or combo multipliers to create some sort of strategy, and no real reason not to do them, which makes me wonder why follow-up attacks aren't simply automated. It is very easy to understand and get into. Animations and killing enemy after enemy is satisfying, and while you don't gain much from skirmishes, they do feel individually quite quick-paced. Overall, Redemption Reapers is an easy-to-understand, retro-feeling game with a generally low skill curve that has occasional and unexpected challenge spikes. It does not reward grinding much, but can put you in situations where it feels like you're expected to get some more damage before you can even damage certain foes. I almost am hesitant to call it a strategy game. It feels closer to a beat-em-up game using strategy RPG gameplay, and there are some disconnects between how the game is supposed to feel and the actual progression in combat. That said, it is mostly average and functional, easy to pick up and play, and moderately fun. And while there's a slew of better games in the genre, it's a solid 20 plus hours and is still above a stock average game, even if only by a little bit. Redemption Reapers earns a 6 out of 10. Hey, did you like that video? If you did, be sure to let us know by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. If you want to be first in line for any new content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and then hit up our Facebook page. The link's in the description below to see what's coming up next.